Imagine unifying technology across 30 countries, different teams, cultures, and expectations, and still keeping innovation and security moving in sync. That's the scale of what our guest today has achieved. We have privilege of speaking with Kevin, the global head of infrastructure, operations, and security of the Bata Group. Welcome, Kevin, to the Executive Hub.
Thank you very much for having me. It's a pleasure to be here and to share my experience.
He has over 25 years of experience in IT and technology leadership. Kevin has been at the forefront of transforming Bata's technology infrastructure across 30 companies, driving operational efficiency, cybersecurity, and innovation. Welcome again. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you.
So, Kevin, you have seen that Bata's IT landscape have grown globally. So, how has your leadership influenced this transformation?
When I joined Bata 4 years ago, what I first noticed was how decentralized Bata was. To put into context, Bata is 30,000 employees worldwide, over 30 different countries, and each country has its own IT manager. So what you have is 30 different strategies. The IT manager is responsible for creating and executing their own local strategy. So one of the first things I did was create an assessment where I wanted to understand Bata's strengths and weaknesses, a sort of SWOT analysis, and try and identify, was there any superpowers that Bata had that we could tap into? Namely, one is the size of Bata. So I understood from the assessment that there was limited governance and control and standards. And to address this, I created a 3-step program, which was know your assets, secure your assets, and transform your assets. So that was the starting block of that.
That's great to know. So, after you have done this assessment, what were the results that came out?
When we did an assessment, we understood that we had 9 different antivirus solutions globally, and that's a nightmare to manage in terms of security risk. We created a business case to understand what were we spending in each country, and then we assessed external vendors to try and understand what were the best in breed products that we could move towards. So we looked at consolidating all that to one solution, one pane of glass, and we created a program, a step change program, where we allowed the countries to move towards the new solution when their current solution was expiring. So we protected the investments without, enforcing the countries to move to those new solutions. And it was a timely exercise. It took about a year to complete, but once you've completed that, we now have one EDR platform globally, one pane of glass. In addition to that, we built a COE team, a Sense of Excellence team, to manage the platform. So now you have centralized control over security perimeter. That was a good example of how we actually moved from a very decentralized, connected, lack of standards to having a one-size capability on a cybersecurity capability.
Amazing. What were the impacts and results of this? Adopt one-size capabilities on the cybersecurity areas, basically one across the system.
It's being able to have a deterministic understanding of your threat landscape and the capabilities that you have to protect your threat landscape. So now what you have is a single pane of glass where you could create policies and you can make changes across your entire estate. Whereas before, the challenges was you had to be specialists in 9 different vendors. And when you had to come up with a solution, you had to cater not only the 9 different vendors, but the coordination of that solution to the 30 different countries. And each vendor may have had different versions of the same product in there. So that was quite complex. Simplifying it and increasing the security posture and then using Bata's superpower when it came to negotiations gave us a better fit-for-purpose capability that was across the entire estate.
It is very difficult to make a change in the organization because many people are been using those solutions from quite a long time, right? So how the users, the employees have reacted to the changes which you have proposed, this cybersecurity solution. So how users actually adopted the solution?
A lot of the time, technology teams do not really interact with users unless there's a problem that we need to fix. But what I try and do is promote that we engage with our users and we actually elevate their understanding of why we're doing these things, what's motivating us to make these changes, and are these changes for the better for the organization or they're worse. If you look at the capabilities of antiviruses and then you look at EDRs, EDR is a big step up from antivirus solutions. So now what we do is we turn around saying, let's use our superpower. Our superpower is our size. Are we able to negotiate better contracts to be able to then pay as the same or less than what we're paying combined with all the users? And what you'll find is that there's generally winners and losers because there's 30 different countries. But the main thing is Bata overall a winner? So when you talk about total costs, we're paying less, yes, for more. And that allows our users to be actually happy that they have a good set of protection that's available to them in terms of EDR. And also the management of it is very easier because we have that COE team in India that is looking at the platform and monitoring it and checking it and creating the policies that need to be done. So I think winning over users is important. And there's lots of different examples of where we actually engage a lot with our users. For example, we're doing phishing and training simulations. And people are understanding why we're doing phishing and training simulations. Well, it's all about uplifting the user's knowledge and making sure they actually are aware of the challenges that we have. And what they face in Bata is not just a centric organization thing. They actually face these problems and challenges at home as well. So what you're doing is you're elevating their understanding and keep them up to date on local trends. So we do phishing and training exercises. We do phishing once a week. We're training once a month. And the frequency is there, and we actually try and make it as fun and engaging for all of our users to be able to understand exactly what they're doing and get insight as to what we are doing and why. So our role is two roles: make it difficult for the threat actors to our organization. The second part is to recover. And we keep repeating that to our users. That's our role, primarily. And they're on board with that.
Very nice to know. So there might be some cultural differences also between the teams because it is global. So while aligning the IT across countries, how do you maintain collaboration and consistency across such diverse teams?
It is a challenge because you have geographical diversity and you have cultural diversity. But we're all human and we all have one big common element that we go to work to put food on our table and to clothe our kids and to make everything well. So we have that commonality there, which drives us. And we also know that we sell shoes, right? So we're there supporting the business. We're not selling gold, we're selling shoes. And it takes a lot of effort and energy to get money to be able to divert it to a cost center. You know, IT is a cost center, we're not a profit center. So the understanding of we're all in it together and we share the same objectives and the same goals helps a lot. Then you have countries that typically would not work with each other actually working together. They put the politics aside and then move forward. When it comes to languages, there's some barriers there. You have LATAM is predominantly Spanish. You go to Africa, English is fine. You go to APAC, there's other languages there. And so you have to sort of understand how to communicate with each other, make sure you don't misunderstand each other, you know, and celebrate each other's cultures. It is a challenge, but I think the Bata is more of a family than anything else. And people understand that. The whole culture is acceptance and being kind and working closely, collaboratively with each other.
Amazing to know. So, can you recall a real moment when things almost went wrong and how your team navigated it? What was the human side of this change? Basically, this is a challenge related question. So, any real moments where you have felt that things are almost wrong?
So I was on holiday on a specific day in Turkey, and I remember the India team calling up and saying our servers are down. And we're trying to figure out what was going on. And was it just an India-centric problem or was it a worldwide problem? And I started walking back and finding out that actually it was a worldwide problem. We had over 6,000 devices that went down and over 400 servers that went down. The challenge we had was that we'd always done exercises based on country-specific outages, not global outages. And so now what you're stuck with is actually a situation where you have to bring in all the regional directors, all the IT managers, and then coordinate without the script, the global script, of trying to resolve the issues, not only in English, but in Italian and in Spanish, and converting the languages that everyone understands it, and checking and validating all the different processes to be able to make sure everything's working correctly. We were out for 2 days. But other organizations that suffered the same sort of issues were out for a lot longer. And I actually saw the creativity that we actually had and the power of how we all came together. One common goal: recover Bata as quickly as possible. I'll give you an example. In Kenya, it was easier for us to, instead of sending the IT resources out to the different stores, to have the store managers pick up their point of sale systems, take them to the head office in taxis, get them fixed, and then send them back. So instead of having the IT manager or the IT resources going from store to store and taking a lot of time to be able to recover, they were able to do that quite quickly, bring everything in. This type of creativity that Bata has, that's, if you follow a script, you may miss some things, but it was at that point, you had people jumping in from all parts of the organization, the IT organization, and taking leading roles in the recovery. It wasn't, it's not my problem, let's not worry about it. It was, we have to get this sorted out. Let's create the SOP on how we're going to fix it. Let's check other options on how we could test it. Let's test variations of those. That's a problem. Now let's translate it. How are we going to deliver it to the people? How are we going to train the people to get these things done? How are we going to monitor progress? So for me, I think I was really proud of that recovery, especially watching how the team works together.
So, how do you envision the future operations and product offering? And what does AI play in Bata's current IT strategies?
AI has a massive role to play, but one is also, of course, adoption. It's going to change the way we work, for sure. It's going to change the way we innovate. It's going to change the way how we transform our organization. And I think this is only coming to clarity now, and it will continue to evolve in terms of how you would see AI and how it will change your organization. So yes, we're very excited for AI and what it brings to the table, and how we're going to collaborate, and what type of tools and evolution of those tools are going to happen, and how we as an organization are also going to evolve when it comes to our e-com sites, our supply chain and marketing and development and whatnot that goes with it.
Many companies are still thinking what to do with it. But you have plans, you are building on a strategies, and you have a future in your mind.
Created a toolkit which we're publishing to all of our users. The idea is the do's and the don'ts of AI. We're going to be scheduling training to be able to explain to users the best practices for AI, so that we don't put the wrong things into AI, suffer consequences. So these things are really important. We're also going to do an internal assessments to make sure that we have everything locked correctly. So when we do implement AI, we are ready for it, or as ready as can be.
That is important because, that's a greatest learning also. That's like AI items which we want to do it. Am I right?
Absolutely. And speak to your third party, your partners, your vendors, speak to the key partners that you have. Ask them what are the risks around just turning things on, and what are the options. Try and classify the different type of AI tools in terms of risk. Some are more risky than others. You've got to figure this out before you start turning things on, because once you turn it on, the floodgates open, and then it becomes a lot harder in terms of the challenge on how to remediate or fix those problems.
Prevention is better. Protect our organizations to keep balance between functionality, cost, and operations, and while utilizing the latest in the market.
Our original mandate is very simple. You can break it down into two sections. One is make it difficult for threat actors to enter our organization. You've got to know your threat landscape. Two, when they do succeed, because any organization has threats that are successful, you have to recover quickly. So now the question is, how do you make your mean time to understand your threat profiles quicker? How do you reduce your identification of threats? With using AI, you could make it something really, really less when it comes to minutes, 3 minutes versus 27 days in terms of industry standards. That's by using security tools that have AI embedded. So they do threat protection and threat hunting and threat analysis. And when they see things that are not correct, they lock things down automatically and then provide you with an assessment of what you need to do to unlock that system because they've detected something going on. And this is done near to real time, near time to minutes. Versus legacy, without these AI tools, you'd have human working out and trying to figure out what's going on, and it could take up to 27 days. So there's a big difference between 3 minutes and 27 days. It gives you the ability to be able to respond a lot quicker, and you feel a lot safer having these type of capabilities with you. Same with things like VAPT testing, when you do vulnerability testing. Nowadays, you can have these type of tools automated. So you don't have VAPT tools doing testing in a point in time, but you have it continuously testing and doing breach and attack simulations to understand, have you got any weaknesses in your organization? Then the second part is going and actually remediating those weaknesses as quickly as possible. The automation side on that side for AI is still coming. Well, it's probably there, but we haven't adopted them. We will slowly adopt those changes. But for the detection parts, we could see a lot of things going on quite quickly using AI. So yes, it's a big game changer, especially around cybersecurity. AI is a lot quicker than how humans could respond.
And we have to be very cautious and side by side having our mandates into place as we mentioned it. Can you share a pivotal moment in your career that helped shape your leadership style and approach to managing the diverse and large team?
I think what resonates with me is that we were trying to deal with a big problem on a client site, and it was going on for days and days. In the end, we had an engineer fly out from Sunnyvale, California, all the way down to South Africa to help us with this problem. And we were working day and night trying to fix this problem. And what resonates with me was that the engineer would periodically call his CEO at very unsociable hours to request him for assistance, for help, for different things that need to be done. And I was always, I was quite young then. I was always surprised at how you could actually call someone really senior. And his response to me was very simple. If it's important to him to send me halfway around the world to be here fixing these things, then it's important for him to be able to support me and provide me with all the resources I need and the tools to do my job. So it always resonated with me on that one. When I was working banking and finance, there was a big issue on the trading floor. And the issue was solved just before the end of day, but it highlighted the ramification of the issue that could have a significant amount of money that could have been lost. When we did the root cause analysis, one of my mentors came to me and said to me, even on the trading floor, when millions of dollars are made or lost every single day, mistakes do happen. What you've got to do is you've got to pick yourself up and move on and try and ensure that you don't make the same mistakes over and over and over again. So I think those two would be the things that I resonate with, sort of shape my leadership. It's don't be scared to have a blue collar or white collar when it comes to working with the team. Understand that actually mistakes do happen, right? What you want to do is avoid repeated mistakes. And you want to make sure that every bad situation is a really big learning experience so you don't repeat it.
That's a game changer. And what advice do you want to give to the aspiring tech leaders who aim to drive innovation and lead digital transformation in the MNCs or large companies?
Any new aspiring tech leader, you have got to know your assets and you've got to know your organization's risk appetite and you've got to understand the culture. And then you've got to challenge everything. You've got to challenge the status quo. Don't accept the status quo because it's been done the same way over and over and again. Maybe it's right, maybe it's wrong, but you've got to challenge and understand why people are doing it in such a way. It's still a good culture of people who are security first in terms of the way they behave things. They don't just sweep things under the carpet. If they see something that they think is a problem, they need to report it. They need to look to remediate it or understand what the problem is and it doesn't need remediation or not. And then I think small victories builds momentum. Yes, and the more momentum you get, the more you're able to build on that and progress. And we have totally changed the landscape in cybersecurity and in 4 years. So I think the journey has still got a lot of things to do going forward. But I think just the small victories allow you to build momentum. And then after you have the small victories, you can move on to bigger victories. And if there's problems, try and course correct where you need to go. And also, I think the other thing is standardization. I always think that even if you are wrong, and as long as you're consistent, you're only one or two moves away from making that wrong consistency right. If you have inconsistency, then you have a whole big mixed bag that you have to try and deal with, and that becomes a lot bigger problem, a lot bigger challenge.
Yes, exactly. That's the game changer. Leadership as well as when you want to be a leader. So in every aspect, that is so important. Thank you so much, Kevin. The insights were really, really good, and I learned a lot. So I hope my audience they will also get a lot of insight from this conversation.
I hope so. Thank you very much for having me. It was a pleasure being here today. Really enjoyed it. Thank you.